Alright guys, we are Levels of Wrestling and we're here with the debut show of the Lowdown. We're going to be giving you all of our opinions and thoughts on last night's Money in the Bank, and we're going to give you some insight on what we think happened on Raw. Today we've got Cesaro, who hopefully will be a regular, and Chris Lamb, who I know fine well Chris will be a regular or we're going to hunt him down. Rensis and Rory, who we're told to believe is real, will show up at some point. But we just want to let you guys know that if you've got any questions, just send them through Twitter using the hashtag Lowdown. We'll find them and we'll sort them out and get everyone sorted. So, guys, what did you think to last night's Money in the Bank? We'll start with Chris first. How would you rate it out of 10?
Rating it out of 10, I would have to say it was a good pay-per-view. I'd give it a 7 until the ending. Then I'd say it drops a little to maybe a 6 or 5.
Cool. Skeletor, what do you think, Ben?
I thought it was like a solid 8. Like, I was super into it. I will say, like, I'm not super upset that John Cena won, but the way he won was kind of anticlimactic. He just kind of did a normal finisher and then climbed the ladder really fast. So that it was a little disappointing.
I think I'm going to go out there. I'll give the pay-per-view a 7. I enjoyed it. I'm going to say a 7 the whole way through. I agree. I didn't mind Cena winning. We all saw it coming. People complained about it for ages, but we all saw it happening. So why bother worrying about it now?
Yeah, I'm just thought the AA run up the ladder really fast thing was a weird way to end.
If if anyone else had done that, I'd have probably complained a bit more. But because we're so used to seeing Cena do that sort of thing, it kind of felt okay with me.
To me, the aspect is, you've got guys in there like Roman Reigns. Like I said, Roman Reigns has the crowd behind him at the moment. He's a guy that really, he has a future in that company. I think it's time they started building it, perhaps, rather than just... Because I know that they're building it, but they need to do it a bit faster, in my opinion.
I was impressed that Randy Orton remembered that red equals green. He freaking was busted open hard, man.
Yeah. He was so sad. How are we doing, Matthew? Welcome to the chat show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I got the wrong chat room.
Are you wearing a wig? Welcome to the debut.
Nice.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, you like that, big boys?
Oh.
And we're live with this.
That just fell apart quickly.
Alright, I'll be right back. Let me put a shirt back on.
Okay, so anyway. You know what, we're going to talk about building stars later on. I think that there's a lot to be said about building stars, and a lot with today's hate on Twitter. Like, my Twitter feed was full of it. People telling me that Cena buries everyone. And people need to realize that the slow build of stars is going to happen.
A 6-man ladder match is a pretty weak way to get your first world title.
I'm sorry as well, but Cena didn't bury anyone because everybody had their spot where they came in, they took somebody else out.
Yeah.
It made everyone kind of look strong in that aspect.
Well, that's the great thing about these 6, 7, 8-man ladder matches is that the way they're set up is so that everybody gets a little 2-minute stretch of just going crazy and hitting all their signature moves and best spots, and everyone gets even boring dudes like Jack Swagger get to do something cool for 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, that spot he did with Ziggler on the ladder where Ziggler pulled his way up, man, that was a good spot to do.
Yeah.
I think having that variant of guys, like you're saying, everyone gets their shot and everyone gets their 2 minutes to show what they can do. I think that's good, but what we all need to remember is there's not one loser in this match. And if people are saying, Cena buried Reigns, well, Cena didn't bury Reigns. Cena just beat 7 other guys.
The only time I would ever say that Cena buried Reigns is if he, locked him in the STF and tapped him out tonight.
Or AA and AA and AA and oh wait.
Well, that's true. That's true. If he got speared, kicked out at 2, and then AA'd him, that probably would have also been a burial.
Welcome back, Super Cena.
Yeah.
Let's hit on this word burial, right? Twitter today was full of it. I know I've had to complain several times about people saying burial.
Well, I just misused it anyway. It's not like even a term for that. It's a term for if they just completely screw you and start pulling you off TV and stuff. Like Zack Ryder has been buried. You can't find him. That's an actual burial.
Yeah, Yoshi Tatsu got buried.
Yeah, he got pulled off TV and got
fired.
released. Yeah, that's a burial. You're not buried if you appear every week on TV twice or 3 times a week and get title matches at pay-per-views.
No, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I understand where the word burial gets thrown around, because especially with new guys, it's so important to pick up a big win early on so that you can build off of something. So, let's take Bray Wyatt, for example, since we're on the topic of Cena. You've got Bray Wyatt, a guy that just came down and, had some good matches with Cena, but because he didn't get that win in everybody else's mind, he's a loser, he's been buried, etc., etc.
Well, he was literally buried under a bunch of stuff. But that was the weird thing about that feud, is it happened so early in his career. Usually if Cena has like a long-term feud with a guy, the guy's been there for like 8 years. But this is like right out the gate. Bray Wyatt's like 3rd feud, and it's against John Cena.
Yeah, that was actually very smart on the part of WWE, because once you've done Daniel Bryan, who was a building star, where do you go from there?
Yeah, it's true. The only person bigger than Daniel Bryan, especially at the point where that feud started, was John Cena.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's stick to this idea of burials, right? Chris, what does burial mean to you? Like, a lot of guys get buried, like you said, Yoshi Tatsu got buried. So what is burial to you? And I don't mean like Triple H has got his shovel, go and bury this guy.
No.
That's not how it works.
To me, there's 2 meanings of the word burial that people throw around. The one is obviously, Zack Ryder is a perfect example of a guy who got buried, like Kurt Hawk, people like that, people that have been literally just thrown off of TV and you never see them anymore. If you didn't follow it, you wouldn't know they were even employed, really. But then the second meaning, which is the one that the fans seem to be using it for, especially the people on Twitter and myself quite often, is, when a new guy coming up gets just plain beat by someone like Cena, who passes it off as, oh, I'm not even injured.
I'm also, even worse than that, I've seen a lot of people use it as, oh, this guy lost a match, or is in a feud I'm not a huge fan of, which means he's buried. Like, people have said Daniel Bryan, after beating Batista and Orton and Triple H in the same night, was buried. It's ridiculous.
Rory, you've arrived. You are here for the first time. What do you think a burial is?
A what?
A burial. You know, like when someone says, like, Dolph Ziggler got buried. What do you think a burial means?
Wrecked, destroyed, hurt.
Okay, so this will probably be a good topic for you. So, like, on Twitter, a lot of guys say, like, Dolph Ziggler got buried because he didn't win that match, or Triple H has beat that guy, so he's buried now. We're saying a burial is, someone that's taken off TV for no apparent reason, or they'll have done something that could be deemed inappropriate backstage, and all of a sudden they're buried, they're never shown.
Right.
So, if you see someone on Twitter from now on, I compel all of you, when you see someone yell, "Oh my God, he's being buried," go make sure that the person that said it understands what the fuck being buried means.
Yeah. If you stretch it as far as it goes, you can say maybe a guy like Sandow's getting buried. Even that's a stretch because he was just on a pay-per-view.
No, I'm sorry,
you can stretch it to that point.
Considering where Sandow was last year, I would say Sandow has been buried.
Yeah.
Yep. Matthew, you got anything on this? You want to say what a burial is, seeing as you're here? Or is he not here? Where have you gone, Matthew? Disappointing.
I don't know what happened to him. No.
You should go to office and then leave. Typical people. Typical.
But yeah, Zack Ryder is a guy who got buried because he had like a decent level of popularity behind him, and then they just stopped showing him on TV. that is a burial.
I never really understood what happened with Ryder because, like you say, he's popular.
Yeah, he was just popular, and he had like the U.S. title, and all of a sudden they started showing him less and less with the U.S. title, and then they had him dump it off quickly, and then they just stopped showing him on TV, and now he's where he is now.
Yep.
Yeah, there's we were saying about Sandow there being buried. Sandow is one of the reasons that I brought this topic up, in that people say he's buried. The guy is on TV every single week.
He is,
Then
and he was just on a pay-per-view, which means he got the pay-per-view check.
yeah, I mean, it's a new. I know it's not a great gimmick, but he's doing something new every week. He's going through the Charlie Has phase, right? He's getting all these new gimmicks, and eventually he'll come out of this with a badass gimmick where people actually enjoy what he's doing, and
He got cheered.
The best example that I've heard us use in the past was Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, he was like actually screwed over for like a full year.
Triple H had a very similar gimmick actually.
Yeah, he had an intellectual better than you thing. It was just changed slightly so that he was also like kind of Frenchy because of his name.
Yeah, that was
It was regal to an extent where it was over the top.
Well, him and Regal had like a tag team in WCW for a bit because it was a very he just had the aristocrat better than you gimmick. He wore robes and ridiculous clothes and stuff, and then he got the IC title when everyone thought he was made, and then he lost it to Ultimate Warrior in like 2 minutes, and then lost every match for the next year, and then we never saw him again.
You're doing that thing again.
I think I would love to see Sandow come out of this and cut one of those great promos that he always does, but actually mean it straight from the heart. Like WWE tends to, they limit a lot of their guys on the mic. I'd love to see Sandow not shoot, but just see how he feels in character. I think it'd be great to see he could really push himself from there, and he could get serious again. Maybe even go for the mid-card titles to begin with, if they want to push him slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him because last night where Cesaro stole his robe and put his name on it. Like, that's got to feel embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, there are things I expect to see tonight, and I would love to see that from Sandow.
Cesaro literally came out in a bathrobe yesterday. Like, it wasn't even like a Ric Flair bejeweled thing. It was a bathrobe with his name printed on it.
Okay, so let's talk about. Now that we've got a few more people here, let's discuss this match. The title match for me was, it wasn't as great as the other match. The contract match for me was the star of the night.
The contract match stole the show, and it showed the future of the company.
Yeah, it's weird because I consider the main event title match to be the third best match of the night, behind the contract match which was match of the night, incredible, and the very, very, very good Usos versus Wyatt's tag match.
Which I won £18 on, just say.
Yeah, good bet, man, because everyone else said Wyatt's beforehand.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the Usos Wyatt match. That was the Wyatts were getting good heel heat. The Usos got a good crowd reaction. There's no reason that they can't continue this feud at Battleground.
Oh, I see this feud going for at least. Actually, no. I've just realised no. Because the thing I need to factor in here is the Ascension, who again have been tweeting the Usos on Twitter. Maybe.
No, the Ascension aren't, in my opinion, I don't think the Ascension are going to be on this main roster until they've got another tag team holding the belts.
Yeah, it wasn't like NXT where there was a lot of good divas besides Paige. There are no long-term good tag teams in NXT right now that aren't named the Ascension. The Vaudevillains are there and they're fun, but they just showed up, and Callisto and El Local had 2 matches and already lost. Jordan and Dylan or whatever the hell their names are. They've only appeared once. Like, I don't know.
I just need to inform everyone. I've just been informed that Ayla versus Samoa was matched tonight, and we're all idiots.
Yeah, Layla Summer Rae was clearly match of the night. I don't know what we were talking about. Did you see that weak kick, like that very gentle touch of the foot to the face that killed Summer Rae?
I got a bit of hassle on Twitter. For I'm quite fond of watching the Divas matches. I'll tell you how good they can be at times. But last night I said very abruptly and very straight to the point, I'm going to the bathroom. This match doesn't interest me.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing.
I got a lot of hate for doing that, but realistically, that match was fairly piss poor.
Wait, which the Layla Summer Rae match?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, wow, it was clearly match of the night. So I guess you guys went to the bathroom so that you could watch it again and again afterwards before continuing the show.
Match of the year candidate.
By far.
To be fair, while we're on the topic of a Divas match, a match that I was impressed with was Paige Naomi.
That was actually a good match, which surprised me in that it did not end in DQ, and secondly, disappointed me a little bit due to the fact that Naomi did not super kick Cameron through a window pane. But you take what you can get.
Yeah, well, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Naomi. I'm also a big fan of Paige, which is what I don't often say much. So it was nice to see the two go at it. I was very surprised at the lack of interruption from Cameron. I can easily see where they're going with this, though, considering she looked happy almost every time that Naomi almost won.
Yeah, they're slow burning this more than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, sorry, happy every time she almost lost. I should correct myself there.
Yeah, but I thought this was going to blow up tonight, and they were going to split and super kick, but it looks like that's going to get stretched out even further, which I really did not expect.
My friend John, who's actually listening to this on YouTube at the moment, has just pointed out Paige's screams when she was in that submission from Naomi were a bit.
Yeah, I like Paige, but as Renzus has said before, there's a lot of issues with we don't know really much about her. She's pale and she's British. That's as far as we've gone. Hey Renzus, how's it going? Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Basically, Paige at the minute has potential to be great, but if WWE aren't careful, she's going to fall hard, because they put her at the pinnacle of the Divas division straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who also won the Divas title in their first night on the main roster and then got no character development? Gail Kim, who then got released.
But a good example of Gail Kim, who went straight over to TNA and has some good matches.
Yeah, but she came out first night because she was a very talented, in-ring wrestler. Came out and won the woman's title, and then had no character development, no promos forever, and then she got released.
But
and that was Gail Kim.
But the problem here, what you're saying about no character development, you've just summed up more than half of the Divas division.
That's true. That is 100% true, actually. Though,
Gail is a great worker.
Yeah, Gail is a fantastic worker.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just stating how similar her coming out first night winning the title and just being a good worker who's not given anything is pretty similar to what is happening with Paige right now.
Tell you what, right?
Paige is better.
Let's go through everyone and find out what everyone's favourite match was from last night, because I'm quite intrigued by this. Rancis, what have you got? What was your favourite match?
The traditional Money in the Bank ladder match.
The briefcase match. Rory, what about you, man? What was your
The
favourite?
contract match.
Matthew, what about you, man?
Adam Rose.
Wow.
Yeah,
Liar.
good point. Good point. Match of the year candidate.
Right.
What? See, the thing about this is the Paul Revere versus Adam Rose match was too good, so I'm just gonna leave that out. Too
Can
good
I
to count.
can I
So
chime in
guess
first?
the contract match.
Can I chime in for a second about Sandow? I had a good sit-down conversation with him Friday night down here in Tampa. I went to
Dang it,
I went to go.
your mic's not working.
Yeah, you
Mine's
just
not-
slow it down.
All right. Friday night, I went to a women's independent event down here in Tampa to see Serena Deeb wrestle a woman named Ivelisse. And Sandow showed up because he trained with her. And I walked up to him like, I know who you are. I respect what you do. And I just got to say, I think you're kind of getting boned on TV. He's like, it's a television show. There's a story. There's a means to an end. I understand a lot of people are frustrated. Just stick with me. Trust me. You will love the payoff. So I'm just taking him at his word for that.
So on that note then, Brian, what would you say was your favourite match of the night? Brian, what's your favourite match of the night, man? Nope, cool, right. Chris, what's your favourite match of the night, Chris?
Favourite match of the night? Gotta be the contract ladder match.
So I think we're all fairly settled in the contract match, so let's talk about that for a bit. What spot was your favourite? Because, I mean, for me, I kind of marked out far too much on the Kofi spot, where he dropped Rollins backwards onto the ladder.
That's one of my favourites. My second favourite, though, would have to be the Rollins-Ambrose superplex, purely because of the way that Ambrose sold it.
Yeah, I think it's a tie. Superplex spot and the ladder, like back body drop Kofi spot, because when I saw the build up to it, I expected Seth just to kind of plop on it and then roll off, but he hit it. The thing bounced, he flew up in the air, hit it again, and the ladder collapsed off of the other ladder, and then he hit the other ladder with his face.
You're aware that was a botch, right?
Well, I don't care. It worked out well.
Some of the best moves and spots in Money in the Bank ladder matches have been botches. Look
Very
at Ziggler taking Tyson Kidd's sunset flip. Like, to me, that looked stunning. He took it the wrong way and landed on his face rather than landing on his back.
Yeah, like this kind of match, like half of what you see is not going exactly as intended, but it looks great. So who cares?
The ridiculous spear from Big E to Rusev onto the floor.
Yeah, I said this earlier before we started. Rusev was genuinely shocked.
That was a rough spot, I will say.
Oh yeah, my mate who's not on here is saying his favourite spot was Zev getting cleared from the pyro so he didn't get hit by canes.
Yeah, I laughed at that when that happened.
It wasn't subtle, to say the least.
It was very poorly done.
However, I was
think
happy because my boy Kane came out and ruined Dean Ambrose's day.
To be fair, I think that the ref didn't realise they were on TV still.
You think?
I don't think he realised that they were still on camera, so slight problem there.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, you don't just.
I was obviously watching too much of the action to notice it happening at the time, but watching it back, when you see him grab Zeb clearly looks scared, as has no idea what's about to happen.
Yes.
Well, back when Dirty Dutch was wrestling, they weren't exactly doing ladder spots or even big pyro.
They did pyro, they just didn't do it attached to the ring post.
Well, yeah, that type of pyro, or big ladder spots. For all he knew, some dude could have been flying off at him to his left.
That would have been great.
So, I mean, we're all fairly set on the fact that this was a decent pay-per-view, barring no matter what people think of the ending.
Yeah.
But that was the problem with it.
Yes. You can't have a good pay-per-view and have a bad ending, because that's the taste it's going to leave in people's mouth.
Well, I think you can have a good pay-per-view, you can't have a great pay-per-view. And that's, I think what this was a solid B-plus player type of a pay-per-view.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the reason was, as good as the World Heavyweight Championship ladder match was, it wasn't as good as the briefcase ladder match. And so, you had no chance. There's no way you put the briefcase match on last, but there was also no way that a ring full of old established stars can sell a ladder match as good as people who are hungry and trying to get to the top.
Yeah, I think JR said it best. Like, these ladder matches, these are your time to shine. You have nothing else to do except try and make yourself famous in these matches.
Yeah, somebody like Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose, they have nothing to lose. If you're John Cena or Sheamus or one of these guys, you have nothing to gain.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forgot that the main event, although they were all title holders at some point, they're clearly not built for that kind of match.
No, they weren't.
Well, everyone except for
Except
Cesaro.
for Roman and Cesaro and Bray Wyatt.
Okay, so let's say Roman's held tag titles. Cesaro's held tag
Yeah,
titles.
but even when they introduced the match, they said he's never held a major title, so they don't include the tag titles.
Well, okay, these guys, right, they've got that chance. Did anyone in this room right now assume that Roman, Wyatt, or Cesaro was actually going to win that match?
I thought they could have made Reigns win because of how I know how predictable the company is. No.
And Wyatt could have won. I mean, Wyatt delivered a great WrestleMania feud with Cena, so Wyatt could have won.
Wyatt's got the whole world title in his hands.
Okay, but I mean, all the coulda ones, did you expect him to win is what I'm asking.
No.
No, I don't think anybody expected it. But I don't think anybody expected Lesnar to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania either.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always the possibility. I never thought that any of the young dudes were gonna win, or even Sheamus or Albert. I think the only two guys I ever thought had a chance of winning were Cena to just do Cena, Lesnar, or whatever, or Kane as a transitional champion to hand it back to Bryan without too much difficulty.
I wouldn't have said Kane.
Well, it could have been Kane Bryan, the Team Hell No continued breakup story with him and Kane. I could possibly have seen that.
They never got their rematch, so I thought there was a possibility of just an easy transition back to Bryan, of Kane holds it for 30 to 60 days and then hands it back.
Well, no,
but they do try to throw surprises out there. You remember a year before last, they had Sheamus win Money in the Bank. I mean, win the Royal Rumble. Nobody was expecting that.
The only reason that happened was because it was leaked. They knew it was completely leaked that Jericho was actually supposed to win that, so they changed it.
Yeah, but this time it was leaked that it was going to be Cena versus Lesnar at SummerSlam, so it's kind of a similar situation.
But they hadn't leaked the outcome exactly. And also, the Rumble was the path to Mania, whereas Money in the Bank is the path to, well, Money in the Bank doesn't really go anywhere.
You have the stop of Battleground, and then you go to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But even, going to SummerSlam for Money in the Bank doesn't tend to set it up the way the Royal Rumble sets up Mania.
No, it does not. It usually has virtually nothing to do with it. Because the guy who wins Money in the Bank usually holds that briefcase for like 4+ months.
Where's Beef, man? Is your mic broke?
No, I'm right here. I'm just listening to you guys. Hey, let me point this out too. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view that we witnessed last night. You look at 1 month ago and what the Money in the Bank pay-per-view was shaking out to be. I'm happy with the way the pay-per-view was last night because a month ago it was going to be Kane and Daniel Bryan in a stretcher match, if we remember that, and the contract match probably wouldn't have featured some of the guys that were in the contract match last night. It probably would have been the guys that were in the championship match, maybe at a BNB. I think they had Rollins and Ambrose doing their own little one-on-one thing, so I'm actually happy with the way the pay-per-view turned out last night.
Clutch.
Yeah, it worked out well. The only thing I'm even remotely sad about was no Bad News Barrett. That's it.
That was some
I'm
fantastic.
afraid I've got some bad news.
Because he is one of my favorite guys in the company right now, and I was pretty sad that he wasn't on the show. But he's injured.
I don't know why, but I could have seen somebody, possibly Rob Van Dam or something, jumping off the ladder and getting hit with an elbow mid-air. A spot like that would have made Barrett for that pay-per-view.
If someone ate the elbow even harder than Ziggler did, then
Even if
you'd have
Ziggler just did it off the ladder, it would be, fantastic.
Well, yeah, he'd flop around and dolphin everywhere.
Do his typical Ziggler thing.
Right there. Had Ambrose and Rollins had their one-on-one match, you actually, who do you think they would have replaced them with in the Money in the Bank? Because I honestly can't see anyone on the card that would be even close to filling that spot.
Honestly, I wouldn't say there was anyone that would have filled that spot, but I think Barrett would have won if Ziggler would have won in that case. And I think that, you would have seen a couple guys further down the card, like let's say Zack Ryder, for example, someone you mentioned earlier. Zack Ryder's a guy who, isn't a bad worker, and I think the WWE knows that, but they don't like to push him for whatever reason it is. I'm sure they could find somebody. I mean, someone like Tyson Kidd is a guy that could have come out and done Money in the Bank.
Does anybody think Tyson Kidd or Zack Ryder is going to get on the top of that ladder?
Tyson Kidd could, with the way they're building him.
Nah.
Zack Ryder sucks and has always sucked, and I'm glad he got buried, to be honest. But
Woo, you know it.
But I like Tyson fine. He's kind of boring, but he works well. So I wouldn't mind seeing him in this type of match. But he's in NXT doing his own thing, and it would be super weird to have him go in over dudes who are like getting consistent wins on the main roster, even if they're young, like Bo Dallas.
Yeah, there were people they could have put in there.
I was going to say, one guy I'd have loved to have seen in there, you mentioned him being in NXT. I'd have loved to have seen an NXT guy come up, either Adrian Neville in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Could you imagine what Adrian Neville could do with those ladders? Or Sami Zayn?
No. Like Plan X from TNA?
For those of you guys who don't know, Chris is a bit high on Neville at the minute. While I agree these guys are great and, they could be great in these matches, they're not ready to be, well, not to lie, they are ready to be brought up, but there is not a situation where they can survive on the main roster.
No, but what I'm saying is, you guys have mentioned if Ambrose and Rollins weren't in it, what could they have done? They could have built it up.
Oh, they could have brought them in weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
they could have done Big E, they could have done Rusev, they could have done Bo Dallas. There's a few people they could have done.
Yeah, but if you do Big E and Rusev, you lose a match.
But now you're losing Seth versus.
Well, that's true. Seth.
Yeah.
To be fair, Big E and Rusev was a match I wasn't too into.
I thought it was fun. It was just like a hoss fight, like two big dudes throwing everything they have at each other. It was longer than the last one, and it worked out fine. Like, I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it.
The problem is, I find that big guys, especially big guys like Big E, Rusev, even Lesnar, they have to get into it. If they don't get into it, the match is not as good as it should be. But once they get into it, it's a good match. And I felt like they didn't really get into it until Big E's spear.
I gotta say that I thought about something a little bit ago, and I cannot wait for the eventual Luke Harper versus Sheamus singles match. because that thing will be off the hook with
No
two
thanks.
of the best big hosses just going at each other.
No,
Like, I don't
thanks.
care who wins. It's just nuts.
I hope Sheamus gets released.
Dude, Sheamus is great. Like, he is great in the ring.
Sheamus won't be going anywhere. I think they need to spice him up a little bit, but he won't be going anywhere.
They've never future endeavored anybody who's held a WWE title before.
What?
So you don't like Sheamus then? What's that about?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't dislike Sheamus, but I've seen what he's going to do. Either he needs to figure out how to be a little bit more than he's been, or stop boring me with the same match 150
Yes.
times.
Yes,
I don't know.
yes,
I love his in-ring work. Like, he hits hard, and he has great matches with other big dudes. Which is why I
Oh
want
yeah,
to see him against
and I
Harper.
loved it the first 50 times I saw it.
But do you want to know the only match for me that stands out with Sheamus? WrestleMania, where he beat Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds. That's the only match for Sheamus that stands out for me.
Dude, like,
And that
Sheamus
was
can
more
make
about Bryan.
anything work. Like, Sheamus had a halfway watchable match with Cali. He's
No,
like
he didn't.
one of the only two dudes who've done
No.
that.
Nobody's had a halfway watchable match with Carly.
I'm gonna just throw this out there. I've just muted Skeletor for a moment. We're gonna put him on the bench for saying that Cali had a half decent match with Sheamus.
Thank you.
We're releasing you. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, Skeletor.
Skeletor, you have been muted for a good 5-minute break. Shame on you, sir. Alright, let's clear something up. I'm no Cali hater. Well, Cali, he's good. He's got a purpose for being in the company.
Let's face it, he's only there to draw the demographic. That's it.
Yep.
Let's never say he's had a good match, because he hasn't. Right? And that's all.
Except when he first debuted against Undertaker.
Yep, no more Cali. That's it. Cali, talk over. You're welcome back now, Skeletor.
Okay.
Yeah, shame on you.
Okay. But one of my friends on Twitter just told me I've been future endeavored, so that's nice. It's not working out, and I regret to tell you, I'm wishing you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Just remember though, we lie, we tweet, we steal, we're gonna tell you the damn same thing on Twitter. No,
Like Stephanie might say, you're fired.
I like that Stephanie has taken that from her dad.
Was that your Stephanie impression? Because that was really close.
Dude, she's so much better at that kind of a character than Triple H. Triple H is Johnny Ace, I'm sorry.
Triple H, I still see Triple H as that goofy guy from DX.
Yeah.
I love him as that character. He's so good when he's being cheesy on the mic.
I don't know, I always see friggin' Triple H as like friggin' Conan the Barbarian, Shao Kahn conqueror guy who comes to the ring in this ridiculous crap every year.
Anything but the owner of the company. I don't buy
That's
it.
true. It's still hard to see him as that, despite the fact that he actually is partially running the company.
I'm glad that we're onto this because something that I think it was Levels that mentioned this, that bothered me last night was when they introduced Stephanie McMahon as one of the principal owners of WWE.
Yeah.
Stephanie is now being introduced as the principal owner.
Yeah, she used to be
Last
announced as... They've said "the" a few times, which has always confused me.
Last night they said the one of.
This is the thing I did bring up, Chris. You're right. I said on Twitter, this week on Raw, they said she was the principal owner. And then last night on Money in the Bank, she said she was one of the principal owners. They need to decide what she's going to be or get her off television.
Well, she actually is one of the, but she definitely isn't the.
We all know that, but to me, I think they're trying to write Vince off. I don't think they want Vince coming back. I don't think Vince wants to come back. And now they have somebody that can do it. They tried Triple H. That's simply not going to work. But Stephanie can do it. Stephanie can pull it off.
I hear they don't want to bring Vince McMahon back because although Vince recognises he's a draw when he does come back, he doesn't feel that he belongs on screen.
I saw a forum this week, and the conversation was basically, do you think Stephanie McMahon being a woman will affect her role on screen as being a boss character? So, I mean, do you guys feel that with Stephanie being a woman, she will become less imposing as a boss as time goes on?
No.
No, like why would that be? She started out unimposing and then got super imposing. So it was a decision they made to slowly make her a larger part of storylines and to be more important.
All I can say is I honestly prefer Vince, but that's not because he's a guy, that's not because Stephanie's a woman, it's just because Vince does it better.
No, but Vince died from that F5.
Oh yeah, Vince has died from everything. Remember his limo blew up once.
Yeah, and then that had to be quickly put under the rug because someone actually died.
Yeah, I'm not such a Stephanie mark that I can't agree that Vince is better, but still, Stephanie is a believable.
Oh yeah, she's good. She's the top heel in the company right now.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Triple H, he does work more or less in that position because of the fact that he has this huge history as this dude who used his connections to bury other guys. And, like, even though I think that's utter crap for most of it, he, like, people think of him as that. And so he gets pretty big heat just because whenever he mentions something like that or brings it up. Or he used the word, I'm gonna bury you, once.
What I don't like is, this is going back to what was said earlier about him being a member of DX, is I prefer Triple H when he is very sarcastic, you know, a bit lippy with people rather than being the serious, you're going to do what I tell you to do kind of person. You know, I prefer when he's a bit sarcastic with people and, you know, he thinks it's funny.
Yeah, I think it just depends on, like, when you came into wrestling. Because, like, I'm used to, like, early
DX.
2000s. I'm like, the thing that I think of Triple H as, because this was, like, when I started to get super, super into wrestling, was the early 2000s, where he was, like, the King of Kings, conqueror, like, of the WWE, has his own faction of guys that hold him up and help him win the titles and stuff. Like, that is the Triple H in my head, is just this crazy, like, Shao Kahn guy.
Conqueror of Earthrealm?
Yeah, he's the conqueror of Earthrealm. But it's like, but if you came in the 90s, or got super into it in the 90s, or later 2000s, 2010, 11 area, then you see him as, like, DX funny, nice guy. It just depends on, like, what part of Triple H that you started to get super into him with.
See, the role, I think, for me, I enjoyed Triple H in 2000 when you got the whole McMahon Helmsley era thing. I also enjoyed Triple H when, you know, he went to SmackDown for a bit and he was on there. I actually thought he was really good on SmackDown, facing guys like Edge and Jeff Hardy. For me, he was good on the mic, but he also helped them to get over a bit more because they were in there with a star with a bigger name. I know that sounds really bad for a lot of these younger guys, but being in there with a bigger name is a good thing.
Yeah. And, well, there's a website called K-Faber Metrics, which puts, like, stats to wrestling and, like, who's being pushed the most based on, like, wins and who they're facing, all that stuff. But they did a thing about whether Triple H has actually buried people, and they had everybody's career before they feuded with him and, like, the same distance of time after they feuded with him, and their careers are, like, ridiculously better after having feuded with him.
Yeah, Triple H is a guy that tends to win matches but makes people look good in doing so.
Yeah.
Or he does completely bury them in a couple of
the only dude who came out of a feud with him worse, like a real, like, month or two long feud or so, worse than when they went in, was Owen Hart, because he died, like, a month later.
I was going to say Curtis Axel.
Well, that wasn't a feud. That was one night, and he did bury the hell out of him in that one night.
Debut night, you're screwed.
I'll bring up one guy then. Booker T. Booker T was slowed right down in his push when he faced Triple H.
He still won a world title and, like, a bunch of IC and tag titles afterwards. Like, he did super well later.
But I think for his main event run, I would say he was definitely slowed right down after that.
Yeah, he recovered though and got his 06 world title win in that like best of 7 series with Chris Benoit or whatever the heck that was.
And then he became King Booker.
King Booker. That was like he pulled that off. Like that was a ridiculous over the top gimmick, but he pulled it off.
Oh, my favourite feud with Booker T was the Boogeyman.
Booker T and Boogeyman.
I
Being
loved
the,
it. Although it got boring very quickly, I love the Boogeyman.
Well, there's only so much you can do with the Boogeyman. Like Kane had other layers that you could put on him, but Boogeyman is just guy who eats worms and comes out of the ring, and you can't do more than like 3 feuds with that.
Yeah. In the same way to Bray Wyatt in some ways.
Okay, here's a question for you then. With guys like the Boogeyman in mind, we've seen guys like Mordecai come and go.
Mordecai.
Which gimmicks do you think were the greatest, and which gimmicks do you think were the worst?
In what? Just cut full stop?
Yeah, just full stop.
Undertaker.
Just best and worst gimmicks.
Yeah, best and worst gimmick.
Taker is the greatest gimmick of all time.
Yes.
And it created a second Hall of Fame worthy gimmick with Kane.
Yeah.
I think the Undertaker gimmick is not that great of a gimmick, but you just had the perfect guy playing it.
Yeah. This is something again. I'm a guy who watches a lot of the documentaries, and somebody did say, you know, the Undertaker, you have anybody else play that role, and it's just another role.
Well, that's
yeah, I think Kane is a pretty good example of that. If Kane had appeared with no Undertaker, I'm not sure that that gimmick really works.
I'm not sure Kane would be there right now.
I think Kane would have been fine as long as it's like Glenn Jacobs who's able to adapt to anything, at least from what I've seen in his 16, 17 years.
He started out with the dentist thing, and that didn't work. And I didn't love
he should go back to the
Kane
dentist
thing either.
No, Isaac Yankem was the greatest gimmick of all time. You shut your mouth.
Yeah,
But-
Isaac. He should go back to that gimmick.
Yeah, he should either be the Isaac Yankem DDS, fantastic gimmick, or the Christmas creature again. You know, great, or fake Diesel. He can be fake Diesel. That's a great workable gimmick.
Okay, so
but the worst gimmick ever is the cheerleader gimmick.
Spirit Squad.
That was terrible. I don't really know how you could do. And I'm talking about among gimmicks that they tried to do semi-serious. I'm not talking about gobbledygooker. Like semi-serious gimmicks. I think the cheerleader gimmick was the worst, and probably the best is the Playboy. That's just an easy gimmick to do.
Oh, wait. Actually, if we're just going like generic gimmick and not just like Playboy, if you're going generic gimmick and not just something one guy did, then I have to go Nature Boy, because Nature Boy brought about like 3 great dudes or more with that gimmick.
Just general monster heel, like Lesnar's done.
Yeah, but the weird thing about Monster Heel is it can never, unless you're like one of 3 dudes, it never lasts.
I was going to say it's a good transitional gimmick.
I'm going to be quite strange here and say I think the rich multi-millionaire doesn't work. There's only been one guy that's really pulled that off well, and that was Ted DiBiase.
Yes.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, Ric Flair's a large part of the whole Nature Boy thing that him and Buddy Rogers and Greg the Hammer Valentine had. That type of thing is you come in and you're rich and you drive fast cars and you wear nice watches, but you're a cool dude.
Yeah, Ric Flair's done it very, very well. Triple H has done it very well. Vince obviously did it quite well. Ted DiBiase. We could go on.
Yeah, the nature, like half of the Nature Boy thing is being a rich dude.
Okay, so what do you think, straight out? I mean, Rancis, you said the cheerleaders, so I'm going to assume you meant like the Spirit Squad type thing. What would you say, other than that, though, is the worst gimmick? For me, I'm not saying something they've taken wrong, but I think Kerwin White was fairly bad.
That was terrible.
That was super terrible.
For those of you that don't know what Kerwin White was Kerwin White was Chavo Guerrero trying to be white. But
Yeah, he
did it-
thought he was being held down due to like being Hispanic or whatever. Like his character thought that, so he came out as a golfer, Kerwin White, and wore golf pants, and had his caddy played by Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's
Good call by Lev there.
let's take a good look at this and just say one connection between Spirit Squad and Kerwin White was Dolph Ziggler. Right?
He was
I'm
the
not
caddy
Indeed.
driver, wasn't
say that again.
he? He was the caddy driver.
Yeah, he was the caddy driver.
Yeah, he was the caddy and one of the members of the Spirit Squad. Dolph
No,
Ziggler
that
is
was-
almost as
Dude, that was Nikki. That wasn't Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, okay, sorry, man, I was mistaken.
I thought it was Dolph Ziggler.
That Nicky, was he not that guy that showed up one week with Vicky Guerrero and he had like brown hair that looked like Dolph Ziggler, but it wasn't? I mean, you know the guy I'm talking about, right? I mean, he showed up and we were like, oh man, it's Dolph Ziggler's music. But who's this guy?
Yeah, he was there
Yeah,
for 1
that
week.
dude was there for like a week.
He got future endeavored quick.
Yeah, the fastest future endeavoring I about ever seen.
Well, other than you.
I'm just mad that you guys remember all the names of the Spirit Squad.
Can I
Dude,
just...
Dude,
The
the Spirit
only
Squad
one I remember
worked.
is Nikki, dude. That's
I'm
the
not,
only one I know.
guys, the Spirit Squad worked. I'm not even gonna, like, they got big heat. They worked as a gimmick for a while.
Can I flip this around for a second and say, what do you think is the best and worst gimmick on the current roster?
Ooh.
The worst gimmick, even though it's working, is Rusev's gimmick.
Yeah, it's very 80s feel. It doesn't feel like it fits at the minute.
I'd say Sandow.
He's working better than the gimmick is working.
Actually,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't even say Sandow, sorry. I'd say Santina.
No.
No,
Yeah.
he's the Milan Miracle. Come on.
Right, I'll go there now and say I think Heath Slater needs to change his one-man band gimmick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
It
okay
worked
with
as
that.
3MB. It worked as 3MB, but as one-man band now, and going back to what he was before, that just shows that there was a problem with it when they changed it to 3MB. Don't leave him as the same guy as a shark in the water.
So he should become Big Clem Layfield.
If you're going to put JBL with him as the manager, why not? Let's have some fun.
I think that'd be pretty funny as two options. There's two options for it. Either he comes into NXT for a few months as the character, and because JBL is NXT GM, JBL either continuously tries to screw him and make him try to leave, but he keeps overcoming it, and he can go babyface that way, or JBL just keeps screwing other people so his family can win.
Yeah.
Either way.
I actually don't have a problem with it. I think it fits him. I think he's a goof by nature, and I think if you try to make him overly serious, it's not going to really work. I think it actually works pretty good for him.
The one-man band thing or the clone thing?
No, the one-man band thing.
Okay.
I think
I clearly killed that conversation, so I apologize.
I think he's a very good jobber, as seen from the Legends stuff.
Yeah, when he spent that year, like, summer getting beat up by random legends was a fun summer.
Yeah, and that's clothesline from How That He Sold.
I feel like the worst gimmick in the WWE right now is David Otunga because clearly that's not working.
Are you kidding me? Otunga's gimmick's working so well.
Dude.
Illegal.
Dude,
You
David
say-
Otunga's Invisible Man gimmick will get over. I'm telling you now.
You say
What about
you say David Otunga's got the worst gimmick. He didn't get fired.
No, he had, but he didn't. He didn't get fired, and that's what I was getting ready to say. What about the one that Cali and Jinder Mahal have sort of split over the last couple of years?
Oh, Rajan Singh or whatever his name was that worked with them.
Yeah, the idea that you're a rich guy from India.
Yeah.
Thus evil. You cannot be rich and not from America, or else you are the
Don't you think
evilest
that's worse
dude.
than Otunga?
Say that again?
I said, don't you think that's worse than Otunga? I think the lawyer gimmick is actually not bad.
Yeah.
Torito.
That's what I'm saying. At least the lawyer gimmick was kind of true to heart. He knows how he can play off that as well.
I think it's funny whenever they bring up a law thing, and then David Otunga is there, like, to do his 30-second talk about it. Like Big Show's house thing, his contract.
My friend who was listening to this went to bed. He's literally just messaged me 25 minutes after he's like, I'm going off, just to say, Otunga still works there?
David Otunga is a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You just watch.
You know what, Matthew, I think you're right. He is a bad gimmick, but you know, it works so well for him. They've got him working legal now properly.
Yeah.
Well, I think his gimmick is definitely worse than Vacant's gimmick right now, because Vacant was over for about 2 months there.
Yeah, Vacant just lost his title.
Yeah, Vacant lost his title in that freaking 9-man ladder match.
Oh, Vacant. Okay.
Vacant got buried.
Vacant keeps... Yo, but dude, Vacant is beating Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, friggin' Brad... Like, Vacant is beating top dudes of the last 20 years.
Vacant's beating John Cena.
All Vacant
beat Hulk Hogan.
Is win titles. That's all Vacant does is win titles, man.
Yeah.
Vacant is the Chris Carter of the WWE.
Vacant has gotten storylines for the last, like, 25 years. He is not buried. He beat Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, John Cena, Daniel Bryan. Doesn't matter. Vacant always comes out on top.
I think I found out who Vacant is. Vacant is Rory.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rory.
good one.
Vacant's
Rory.
Cesaro.
Good one.
Vacant is Rory.
Yeah.
Rory, change your Twitter handle and go change it right now to Vacant is Rory.
Vacant is Rory. I'll do that right now.
Go and do it, because if not, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah. Like Matthew, I thought Vacant was gonna Seth Rollins was gonna cash in on Vacant, but he didn't.
Yes.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been the ultimate heel thing to do, just cut the entire match out of the pay-per-view.
I kept saying that last night on WrestleZone. I was like, okay, Seth Rollins, go ahead and cash in on Vacant.
Well, Vacant is a top quality star, but he's way past his prime.
Yeah, but
Can you imagine if Seth Rollins is like scaling down from the top of the arena to come and grab the belt?
Could you imagine if at the end of Big E versus Rusev, he literally just walks in, cashes it in, takes the things, grabs the microphone, and is just there like, yeah, okay, you go home, it's done, bye.
Cashed in.
They should have done that.
Okay, so I mean, are we all set now that those are definitely the worst gimmicks in WWE?
I'm trying to think of another, like, the gimmicks right now. Well, okay, the thing is, right now, you usually either don't have a gimmick at all right now, or you have something pretty cool. And so there's like, very few bad gimmicks right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
You know what-
Fandango. Fandango has a bad gimmick. There.
Out
You
to
know what the
reach.
worst gimmick in WWE right now is?
What?
White rapper. That's the worst gimmick in WWE right now.
White
You know,
rapper. Everyone hates the white rapper.
The M&M wannabe.
Stereotypically, trust the black guy in the conversation.
The black guy in the
sorry,
conversation doesn't like the white rapper.
This is just racist. Just racist.
this just raised. Next, you'll tell me Vanilla Ice wasn't a top quality rapper.
Oh no!
And we all know that that's just a lie. I mean, dude is the greatest of all time. Screw you, Biggie Smalls.
Am I the only one seeing the through line between Mark Wahlberg and John Cena?
No, I believe it. They're both from Boston. It's going to happen.
Dude, like the Mark Wahlberg John Cena match will be great, but I'm worried it'll end in interference from the Funky Bunch.
My friend's just pointing out the worst gimmick was Evan, I'm going to get a push born.
Evan Ford?
I think Evan tried out the Vacant gimmick for a while, but it didn't suit him.
Okay. Okay, so we're in the last hour before Raw. what do you guys expect to happen tonight? Obviously, Triple H has said there's going to be a returning world champion, and they're going to announce the WWE 2K15 cover.
If the cover will be John Cena, if the cover's not John Cena, I'll eat a £5 note.
I prefer the covers that they used to have, like 06, 07, 08, 09, or it was like a bunch of dudes. It wasn't just one guy on the cover. It was like 5 or 6 top dudes.
I prefer to see, like SmackDown versus Raw's old one.
What, the face with the 2 different colored eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, yeah, that gave you an opportunity to show your 2 biggest, or like newest stars. Like SmackDown vs. Raw 06 was just sitting next to me. It's just John Cena and Batista looking at each other.
To be fair, I'd love to see Reigns on the cover of this one. Because if they're going to push him as a big guy like they're saying they're going to, it would make sense.
I think if they want to make it interesting, they've got to avoid putting a legend on the cover.
Yes.
Right? As much as The Rock was great and the whole tagline was Become Immortal, there was no reason to put The Rock on the cover for that
Well,
game.
at least Daniel Bryan's on the back. Like, I flipped it around.
The question now, is it going to be the ultimate... If it's a legend, the only legends I would want it to be are the Ultimate Warrior, Sting, or Macho Man, possibly?
No, right, Sting won't be on the cover. He's your DLC character. If you pre-order, you're going to get him free. Guaranteed.
Okay, good point. I'd love to have the Ultimate Warrior on there, though. That's, tribute to...
I'd love if they had, like, a couple legend guys, like, in the back, and then a bunch of, like, current day good guys, like, in the middle, and then, like, a couple of top quality NXT guys on the front, like, very end of the front. Like Sami Zayn. Like, guys you know you're not going to release in 6 months.
I'd love it to be hilarious if they had Punk on the cover.
Yeah, it should be CM. It should be a blank cover that says CM Punk didn't show up for the shoot.
That's just so totally wrong.
I would 100% love it to be Warrior, though, because, the man, that was so sad considering what happened. I mean, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame on the Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, inducted on the Saturday, appeared on the Sunday, appeared on the Monday, and was dead on the Tuesday. I mean, that is so sad.
I am 100% convinced that the people inside WWE knew that he was dying.
I don't think the people inside knew. I think he knew, and maybe he told a couple. But that last promo that he gave, yeah, that was
super, like, I'm about to die sounding.
It wasn't until you went back and listened to it afterwards.
Well, yeah, but it's like all these lines about how he's gonna be remembered and stuff, and it's really weird. It's great, but it's hard to go.
You saw like the facial expressions from Vince McMahon when he was talking to him. Pictures of them talking in the back, and those were goodbyes. Those were not hellos and we buried the hatchet. Those were goodbye looks.
They also freaking let him do his full 18-hour Hall of Fame speech.
No, yeah, but to be fair, it still wasn't as long as Mr. T's.
No,
he still was. He loved his mom. Don't you dare step about him loving his mom. He loved his mom. I love my mom. We all love mom. We all mother lovers.
I love my mom on Mother's Day.
On Independence Day.
Independence Day.
I love my mom on a Monday. I love my mom on a Tuesday. I love my mom on a Wednesday.
I was so happy.
I wish I could lock him in a room with you when you say that.
Like, dude, I had like the biggest Kane pop when Kane's music hit. I was hoping he was gonna choke slam him off the stage.
Can I just say the thing I loved about that Hall of Fame induction speech was the fact that he started doing it and the crowd didn't realize what he was doing, but eventually they started going, what?
Because they thought he was going to build to something, but he never did. He just kept talking about his mom.
Yeah, but he just played them over, especially with the Watts. That was brilliant.
Like, it's okay to go, I want to thank my mom for, getting me here. That's a cool thing to do. But it's not okay when you are here to talk about an event you were a part of in wrestling history, and you only talk about your family, like that is not okay.
I've just realised Hogan's going to be on the damn cover, isn't he?
No, dude, like I hate that. I hate that. You need to have a modern dude on the cover, or a bunch of modern dudes on the cover. It doesn't matter.
Hogan is a modern dude. He was just on Raw a couple weeks ago.
God, I hate you so much.
This idea that they'll have a couple of they'll have guys like John Cena, Triple H, you know, all the guys that are slightly older on the roster, maybe facing off against your newer guys like your Daniel Bryan, your Bray Wyatt, your Roman Reigns, Cesaro.
You could do a split cover with the Authority guys and like the guys who stand the most against the Authority.
It looks like what they're doing now is having one person on the cover again because they've just got the silhouette.
If we're talking about legends being on the cover, I'm all for the Undertaker being on the cover as far as legends go. But if you're looking for like current stars or future stars, all you got to do is leave.
You know what I heard? I heard that they were going to put the Undertaker on the cover, but when they had the discussion, he lost.
Oh no!
I wish this was like the 22nd WWE produced game. It might be. It would be very funny to have WWE 21 and 1.
You know, I'm gonna go research that right now and see how many games there've been.
Because I personally own like 14, so I would not be surprised if there was like 22.
Well, on the topic of the Undertaker, I was so upset earlier because I was listening to the unreleased entrance that was done for him on the piano. And all the comments were saying they're going to use this when the Undertaker dies, and I was like, no. I would cry if that.
It should just play him out at the Hall of Fame. It should just play him out then.
Either his last Mania, if this isn't his last, or someone said, you know, like the video package they do when someone dies. And I was like, if that happens, I will cry.
Yeah.
I would be in tears. I would be there like, no.
I don't know, like, the Mae Young video package was super sad.
Oh, okay. So if you don't count all the ones that were put onto GameCube and all those other ones, there's been well more than 22.
Yeah.
I'm counting from all the consoles, you're looking at 56 to 57.
Yeah.
WWF.
Almost as old as Hulk Hogan.
I would just avoid, because, you know, like, the newest NFL game, they changed the number thing to, you know, because they were just doing 10, 11, 12, and then they changed it to 25. It would have been great if it was WWE 21 and 1.
And then you could have just had Paul Heyman on the cover, like, grinning.
Yeah, Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar standing behind him.
But you know that creepy grin that Paul Heyman does?
No, like, guys, Ryback still needs to be on the cover.
No.
With the
Stardust?
When you open it.
It needs to be Ryback. No. It's one of the, you know those images where if you turn them or like change your angle on them, they make a different image?
Yeah.
They do that. They do that with Ryback of them playing rock, paper, scissors together.
Could you imagine him doing that with Ryback in his arms and lift up like the Feed Me More thing?
Since he's the face of the company, then Randy Orton should be on the cover.
He's done that though. He's been on the cover. He was on WWE 12.
Yeah, he was on only 2 years ago. Like, it's a little quick to do that again.
Let's be honest with the way they're building SummerSlam, it's either going to be... Actually, it's going to be one of three people. Daniel Bryan, because of how popular he is. John Cena, because it's John Cena and it's WWE. Or Lesnar.
I mean, it could just be Daniel Bryan.
Right, okay.
Just Daniel Bryan.
Could you imagine when they reveal that tonight, if it's Daniel Bryan, the yes chance?
Nah, we'll see. Who do you guys see showing up tonight as this returning WWE champ? We'll go one at a time and we'll go quick fire. Chris, who do you think?
Ric Flair with The Miz.
Right. Skeletor, who do you think?
Ric Flair with The Miz. But it would be hilarious if Ric Flair carded out Brock Lesnar.
Matthew, who do you think?
The Great Khali.
Good
No,
point.
I'm just kidding.
Good
I'm
point.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry, did he say the Great Cali? He's muted.
Keeping future endeavors, son.
We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Just like that, Matthew was muted, unmuted, and then accidentally remuted again.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I've unmuted him, but I'm still seeing a muted sign on his mic. So good.
It's okay, Matt. You can get unmuted. All you have to do is believe.
Believe. Oh my god. You know, it would be kind of interesting if it was the Shield, like as a group, and then it showed them separately, like behind it or like above it or whatever.
No, the silhouette is just of one person on the cover.
So I don't get a turn?
No.
So, Rantis, what do you think?
Yeah, what do you think?
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see it.
I see it being Cena purely because it's the only star I've really got.
They have Daniel, but Daniel is unfortunately quite hurt.
Cena's just won the title as well, so you know.
He's also a former champion.
Actually, when you think about it, it's 2K15.
Wait,
Rancis? No. When you think about it, it's 2K15. He's the 15-time world champion.
I don't think they've ever thought it that through before. I think the cover is usually just, who do you like right now? Oh, this dude.
So is the returning champion supposed to be the person that's on the cover?
I mean, Bobby Lashley was on the 08 one. Or, yeah.
So what does that have to do with my question?
I was just stating that it's just whoever they feel like care about right now. They don't think it like through as much as he's a 15-time world champion and it's 2K15. They don't think about it like that.
All right, here's a question: who would you like the returning champion to be?
Lesnar to beat the shit out of Cena.
Well, if it means that I could magically uninjure Daniel Bryan, then Daniel Bryan. But I'd love if Ric Flair challenged John Cena for his titles. Because he doesn't want him to break his record.
Yeah, and Cena would lose and then beat him again and become the 16-time world champion.
Yep. But then Rick would be a 17-time, so he'll always be one behind.
Good point now. Good point.
The only finisher that Ric Flair has is the figure 4, so he could never beat Cena.
No, but dude, he can low blow him and roll him up, which is how Ric Flair won like 85% of his matches.
I'd just like to point out we lost levels.
How did we lose the host of this? How is that?
I nominate Beef to be the new host.
No, I am the God King of this.
To be fair,
What are you guys talking about?
No, looking on Twitter. We had the hashtag earlier, hashtag lowdown. We even had somebody more Chris Lamb, hashtag lowdown.
Hashtag lowdown.
We're screwed without levels. What happens now?
No, we're not. So tonight's Raw, obviously, we're expecting to see a returning champion. What else would you like to see from the roster on Raw now with the fallout of Money in the Bank? I mean, what would you like to see from Ambrose and Rollins, for example?
Well, you got to build up that feud so that they have a match at Battleground, and then you can have intermingle Roman back into it and have the final triple threat at SummerSlam.
See, I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is now we're going to have Reigns versus Orton and then Reigns versus Triple H, and we're going to have Ambrose versus Kane and then Ambrose versus Rollins.
I would like to see Roman versus Orton because I think Orton can carry Roman fairly well.
What I would like to see is Ambrose versus Rollins for the contract, and I'd like to see Ambrose win it off Rollins.
But what does Rollins stand to gain by
Maybe-
putting up his briefcase?
Same thing as Ziggler did with Jericho, contract versus contract.
So he just wants to get rid of Ambrose?
Yeah, if Ambrose keeps interrupting and keeps beating the hell out of him, then yeah.
So it's a loser leaves town sort of thing?
Either
No, it would be if Seth loses, he loses the briefcase, and if Ambrose loses, he goes home.
He's fired.
Yeah, I'd have Ambrose win because last night really showed me the guys that were the best in that match. I would say Ambrose really shined in that match.
Oh my god, I have a lot of notifications.
He had and I think, yeah, I would say Ambrose and Ziggler, which is another topic that I'd like to see tonight about Ziggler. Ambrose is a guy that I'd like to see win the contract eventually.
Who is Paul?
Hey, what's going on? Y2 Stump on Twitter, so.
Oh, okay, what's up?
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're good.
Doing.
We're just discussing what we're going to see on Raw tonight. Now that I'm back and now that we've been nice and unmuted Matthew.
Yeah, thanks a lot for kicking me out, by the way.
Yeah, that was great. I muted you and then I got tech problems, so now I look like a douchebag. So that's all.
No, yeah, you muted me and then my screen went blank. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
things
Nice way to treat Matthew.
almost fell apart for a second, so I put it
by
out.
bringing up Cali.
Well, I mean, I did say just kidding. At least I was trying to say just kidding until I got
Yeah.
before the turn happened.
I heard just, and then you were gone.
Oh, what about the former champ showing up tonight? Yeah, I was thinking Cali as well.
Yeah. Who
Paul-
else would it be?
Paul, do not make me mute you.
No, wait.
I'm
No,
over there,
dude, David Arquette. It's gonna be David Arquette.
Oh, boo.
How upset would everyone be if it actually was Arquette, though?
Oh,
I would
God.
lose my mind if David Arquette showed up and they billed him as a former world heavyweight champion.
No, that's what TNA would do.
They would. TNA was desperate enough to do that.
Okay, let's hit on the big topic that's happened from last night. Obviously, for those who haven't seen it, and this is a spoiler, so I'll give you 3 seconds to turn off. Right, okay, fuck it. Cena won. People weren't happy about it. Twitter exploded, the internet did its whole, oh my god, this is so predictable.
It
Where
was.
Where do you see it going now that Cena has won?
Hopefully, I see that Cena losing the title because of Lesnar and it leading to a grudge match.
Transitional champ.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. It's transitional. There's no way he's going to keep this belt.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, yeah, he's not going to be a long-term champ here. It's transitional, so, no big deal.
I'd actually like to see him as a battleground.
Yeah. Rory, what's your thoughts on this? You've been fairly quiet tonight.
Yeah, I know. It was going to be between him and Orton, really. Orton wasn't realistically going to win it because he had it just before Bryan, so it sort of makes sense, but it's kind of boring still. Same old.
Okay, so I mean, do you see Cena staying, long-term champ, or is it going to be a
No.
short thing?
Short term.
Right. And who do you see him fighting with over the next month? We've got 1 month before SummerSlam, and then 1 month before Battleground, and then 1 month before SummerSlam.
Maybe Randy Orton,
Okay.
realistically.
Oh God, no.
Boring. Yeah, but
It might happen, but no.
Don't like the idea of that. So where do you see it going?
It's just to the fact that we just had Orton and Cena again in December and January, and partially in February. So no.
I've just thought, The Miz.
That would be such a weak feud, bro. That'd be such a weak feud,
That's a bad
bro.
idea.
If Ric Flair's turning up tonight and they want to make The Miz a big thing, they could have Cena issue an open challenge to anyone Miz comes out with Ric Flair figure 4 lock win after Lesnar beats the crap out of Cena.
What about Cesaro?
Cesaro, yeah, I think it's got to be one of these guys that was in the match.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a good way to work with one of those young guys, because I feel like
Actually,
Cesaro and John Cena could blow it up at
Which
like
would
a
also-
pay-per-view.
which would also make more sense to get Lesnar involved.
Yeah.
But then not only do you
Cesaro
have the
loses
angle
at
of him,
Battleground, and then Cesaro loses at Battleground, and then he takes on Brock. Brock shows up like at either that night or the night after and attacks Cena.
see,
And then SummerSlam feud.
Don't you think that that'll make Cesaro look a little bit weaker? Because if we're
Yes.
gonna have the ultimate payoff at SummerSlam where it's John Cena and Brock Lesnar, I think the best decision that they could probably make is keep these young guys out of it, because if they're gonna get beat by either Cena or Lesnar, that's just gonna make them look weaker and kind of regress their ultimate push that they're getting all year.
can I
But
just
Cesaro's lost cleanly to Sheamus.
can I just point something out here? What I would love,
Exactly. And Bray Wyatt lost clean at WrestleMania to Cena, and it didn't hurt him.
okay. What I was about to say was, what I would love to see is, like I've said, I don't want Cena and Lesnar to be for the title, because one of two things is going to happen. Either Cena's going to beat Lesnar, which makes Undertaker's streak look like nothing, or you've got the title on a part-time guy who has maybe 2-3 matches before Mania.
I don't have any problem with that at all.
I do.
No, I love this idea that Lesnar can hold the title, and he can show up literally for your pay-per-view, and you can have Heyman be his voice the whole time. He's essentially to be your Shao Kahn from Mortal Kombat. He will show up.
I think part of the problem that we've had with recent champions is you see them too much. What's ruined Cena more than anything else is overexposure.
No,
I think it's good to have a champion that only shows up 4 or 5 times a year.
but then what do you have people chase? What's the point of what do you build the feuds based on?
They chase what they've always chased. You chase the number one contendership and the right to face the champion.
But then
That's something
being-
that is something that's kind of faded. Is number one contenders matches used to be a thing that were also on pay-per-views, and they are not anymore. Which is weird.
We just saw that exact pay-per-view last night. That's what Money in the Bank contract is.
Yeah, but that's not a regular number one contendership. That's like because due to the cash in anytime and like anytime you want.
duo. Gee.
But
All right, somebody's partying.
But
yeah,
I'm at work, so.
Make no mistake, the Money in the Bank contract is the number one contender for WWE.
yeah, it's an instant cash-in number one contender.
But especially when it's a heel, you're just a dude who shows up 6 months from now and hits your finish on a guy, and then gets the pin.
or doesn't even do that in some cases.
Yeah.
But I do. I think this idea of having Lesnar as your guy that shows up just on pay-per-views, that's not a bad deal. Because right now, the title isn't the biggest focus, right? The storylines that go on are the biggest focus. If you've got a guy chasing the gold, that's cool. Let him feud with someone. Then you can have the winner of that feud go and face Lesnar at the next pay-per-view.
Lesnar is a guy that, if he wants the title, should go full-time like RVD.
No,
He
but
should not be a guy that walks in once every so many months, has one match and walks out for the next 4 months.
You mean like The Undertaker, so to say?
The Undertaker's very, very different in the sense that he only has one match a year, and that's because, well, he won't even have that now. He's done.
Lesnar, he's basically the same thing, though. I mean, because, whenever he shows up, it's an event.
But not really. I mean, let's look at Triple H. Triple H versus Lesnar. That went on for, the Extreme Rules match of that was stupid as hell.
No, I wouldn't say that was stupid. That had to happen.
I like that match.
Oh, they had three.
my knee,
They had
oh,
three
my knee.
pretty good matches in there.
I'm sorry, but my knee, my knee. Yeah,
No, that needed to happen. He needed to look injured in order for Triple H to keep his ego and look slightly good in that match.
No, that was stupid as hell.
Dude, I like that feud fine.
I did too.
It worked out. Brock won 2 out of 3, showing that he was the better dude at this point. But Triple H got his win, so he didn't look terrible, and it's still And he also, Triple H did cheat like crazy to get his win with the like 7 low blows he dropped.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back now, though, and you think about it, Brock Lesnar beat the guy that came close to beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
And
And
then
then he beat Triple H. And then he went on and beat The Undertaker.
Yeah,
Looking back,
he lost that match to Cena at Extreme Rules, but he decimated Cena in the process.
Yeah, yeah, actually, when you think about it, he attacked and injured Shawn Michaels, who took on Taker. He attacked and injured and beat Triple H 2 out of 3 times. Then he beat clean, semi-clean, who got distracted by his own self, CM Punk. So 3 dudes who took on Undertaker and pushed him to his limit.
And now
in his first match back, if I'm not mistaken, he was in there with the best in the company and basically destroyed him until that one last strike from Cena.
But the problem I've got with this...
That's why right now we need to get Lesnar versus Cena with the title in the match. But make it something personal, make it a Hell in a Cell. Do something they haven't seen in a long time and make it a fucking spectacle.
Those two don't need that, though.
They really don't.
Just make it Extreme Rules.
The issue I've got with all of this, though, is it's the same issue that I had with The Rock being the champion. You do not put the title on a part-time guy. It is stupid as hell.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. This is professional. This is professional wrestling. This is not athletics. This is about a draw and about a storyline. And there's no bigger star in the company than The Rock. That's not a part-timer. That's The Rock.
Let me jump in here real quick. I mean, we talk about Brock Lesnar being the champion as a part-timer, and while yes, the WWE as a business, they do like to garner to their WWE universe. You also have to understand that this is a business, and this is about drawing in new viewership. We saw the same thing with The Rock. We saw the same thing early this year with Batista, where you have part-timers come in, and all of a sudden they're at the top of the company, and that is to garner viewership from outside worlds. Once upon a time, with all due respect to Mike Tyson, Brock Lesnar was deemed the baddest man in the planet. He was on top of the world in the UFC, and if he becomes the guy in the WWE, well, that garners a whole bunch of interest from a whole different level.
Well, can I just point out Batista is a very simple case because
good job dropping level in there. I like that.
Hey, dude, you mind?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think personally for me, I said this in my blog, there is going to be a whole lot of understanding. The outside world coming to professional wrestling needs to see it as just that. Brock Lesnar looks like a tank. He is your ratings. He comes in from UFC. He is your money guy. Then you drop in John Cena, who's gone, 15-time world champion now? He is the most notified name on the current roster. The outside world knows who he is. You say, hey, have you heard of Roman Reigns? Guys go, who? You say, John Cena. They'll go, oh yeah, I know who John Cena is.
What you need now, though, is Lesnar on a full-time contract. You don't need him on a part-time contract because that is... No.
Right, okay. You made the reference...
Dude, part-time, full-time, I don't
care. Brock ain't
signing
a full-time contract.
Then he should get the hell out.
No, he shouldn't, because he makes money for the company. He should not get the hell out.
And he has, super good matches every time he rolls out. He's not, The thing about The Rock, and one of the reasons I was a little less happy about his thing, and I get it because he's a huge star, his matches, not very good. Brock is coming out and hitting great matches again and again and again, and making money. And
he's not, though.
Okay, you made 2 references, right? RVD, you said should come back and sign full-time like RVD. RVD's not signed full-time. RVD is technically a part-time guy. He works 90 days at a time and takes 30 days off.
But he works a full shift. He doesn't just turn up once a month. He works there for the full period, the full duration of what he's needed for.
Yeah, that's cool. But
very few people are buying a ticket to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference between RVD and super main eventer Brock Lesnar.
You put Lesnar on a card and people say, holy shit, I'm going to pay to see this because he's going to kick ass like he used to.
But
the issue as well, you said that he's being paid for not being there. So what? I mean, you want to look at that? CM Punk is being paid for not being there right now. I mean, two different guys, two different reasons, but it's the same situation it comes down to, is money. And WWE know they're going to make money off Brock Lesnar.
And I completely agree that Punk should have stopped getting the rights to the merchandise profits when he left the company.
It's not just merchandise, he's getting a full contract pay still.
In that case,
Hey guys, not to cut anybody off, I just wanted to throw this in there just real quick. I'm talking to my WrestleZone guys right now on Twitter. They are confirming that Chris Jericho is the one returning tonight.
That's kind of cool with that. I have no problem.
I'm pretty solidly cool with that, because Jericho is one of my all-time favorite
I've
guys.
just seen the same thing, actually. I've just seen exactly
He's
the
the
same
part-timer. Get rid of him.
Yeah,
No,
Jericho
he's
is
don't get rid of him. Don't get rid of him. Don't have him chase the title.
For me though, with
Well,
Jericho,
okay,
it's
so
a
you're
night
happy
late.
for Lesnar to be there, just not chasing the title.
Yeah, which is why I said I want Cena to lose a title and have it be a grudge match, not have it be a title match.
Right, put it this way, if you put the title on Lesnar, and he holds that as the guy who beat the streak until WrestleMania, and then you have a new star, like all the ones, all the new stars everyone's pandering over, who've won Money in the Bank. If you have one of them beat Lesnar, they are the guy in the company.
But here is my problem with this. Here is, can you just let me? My problem with this, you look at a guy like CM Punk. CM Punk had a 400-day title reign. He was there every week with his title. Lesnar will not be there every week. Lesnar will hardly be there. That's my problem with it.
Yeah, like I'm actually like semi-pro Brock Lesnar. Like I'm pretty pro Brock Lesnar, even in title matches. But I do not want to see him last till Mania as champion.
Yeah,
that's like a long ass time.
I love Lesnar. When Lesnar came back, I popped like a little girl, for Christ's sake. I thought it was absolutely awesome. But the fact that they want him to have the title, no.
I think realistically, I mean, if you want to look at this, I think it was Brian Goulash said this as well, and JR. If you look at Lesnar breaking the streak, if they want to make that seem important and they want to make that look serious without undervaluing the streak, Lesnar goes undefeated until next Mania at the minimum.
But the problem with him going undefeated until Mania is the fact that he'll be undefeated for 2 matches. Which is my problem.
That's if they don't put him on the pay-per-views. If Lesnar goes on the pay-per-views, like I've said, if he's got 15 dates between SummerSlam and WrestleMania, he can do every pay-per-view plus do every single week between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania.
Yeah, but are those dates to wrestle or dates to appear?
It doesn't matter whether it's appear or wrestle. Your champ shouldn't wrestle every single week.
Yeah, I don't need him wrestling on Mondays. I need him wrestling on every pay-per-view. He does it.
But he at least needs to be there on most of the Mondays for it to make sense.
No, he doesn't. I mean, you look at when Cena was champ, right? There was a point where he was champ, and he would show up once every 3 weeks when he was kind of injured. He had his elbow injury at some point. When he was champ before that, he was showing up once every 3 weeks, so they didn't get him more injured. I'm okay with that. If Lesnar shows up once every 4 weeks, it's no big deal. It's an extra week.
Especially, what about like if Lesnar becomes champ at SummerSlam, goes through this whole undefeated streak until WrestleMania? What about if we're talking about Daniel Bryan getting his second surgery? He'll put him out for a minimum of 6 months. If he comes back at the Royal Rumble, that proverbial "I'm back," have his Triple H or his John Cena moment at the Royal Rumble, then you have a big payoff with Daniel Bryan beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania next year.
Yeah, Bryan should be the guy to take the title off Lesnar if that's the way they're going.
To be honest, I can see that happening, but I would prefer it to be a new guy from,
someone. I think if it happens, I mean, you'll know this better than me, Matthew. WrestleZone predicted and reported that it's either going to be Rock versus Reigns or Lesnar versus Reigns. And if it's Lesnar versus Reigns, you can be damn sure that's going to be for the title, and Reigns is going to win it.
Yeah, which, to me, would be a good way to go. I'd just like to point out Lesnar is actually trending on Twitter right now.
Yeah, that's because everyone's afraid that he's going to show up tonight.
It's not even a hashtag, it's just his name, which is interesting.
This is where they need that second title.
Yeah, I completely agree here, and this is where I think they should now, if Lesnar wins at SummerSlam, the only way I would be happy with Lesnar winning this title at SummerSlam is if they turned around on Raw the next night and said, we're introducing a new title. That's the only way I would actually be happy with that happening.
Oh, I was going to say, Mike Killam from WrestleZone is saying that he's hearing there'll be 2 returns tonight.
Lesnar's one of them.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be 2 returns tonight. If Chris Jericho's one, then good for him. Who do you see Jericho facing at SummerSlam? Because that's obviously going to be a big thing. I personally think it'll be Cesaro.
I think it'll be. I'd like it to be Ziggler purely because of that whole left off kind of stuff that they never really resolved. But yeah, I'd love it to. I think Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, Jericho Bray Wyatt works, but I think Jericho Cesaro ring work would be incredible.
No, it all depends on if he's coming back heel or face, though.
That's actually 100% true.
I think Cesaro needs a good feud more than Bray Wyatt does.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see Bray Wyatt going after Sheamus and the US title. They need to have him do something, and I think he'll do more for the US title than Sheamus will at this point.
Yeah.
To me, Bray is the one guy, he has so much freedom where he doesn't need the belt. He doesn't need any belt.
We've had this discussion a lot of times. He is above the belt.
Yeah, but you could have said that about
exactly.
The Undertaker in like 1991 or 2, and they still put it on him and it works. Like you don't, good guy. Just because somebody doesn't need the belt doesn't mean you shouldn't put it on him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, how awesome would it have been to have Bray Wyatt go out tonight and sing, "I've got the whole world title in my hands."
But I'm just saying though that he can be interesting.
No, he can be. He doesn't need it. He really doesn't need it, which is true.
Yeah,
Cesaro
I'd love to see
kind of in a weird position right now, where he kind of needs something.
Where that secondary title would be perfect right now to put on him.
Yeah,
I would love them to introduce now. I'm not even sure what the heck they could call it at this point, but another title which, in that case, Lesnar winning the title wouldn't bother me as much.
Okay.
But they need that title.
Let's stick with this Jericho topic then. Matthew, who do you see Jericho facing if he does return?
That's a really tough question. I'm kind of at a loss. I mean, the first thing that I go to is I look at the competitors who were in the championship match last night, and then I kind of look at some of the people who may be at a loss as to where they go from here on out and who they feud with until SummerSlam. I like the prospect of Bray Wyatt. I think the mic work would be really, really entertaining, and I do like Bray's in-ring stuff too. That'd probably be my first guess, but really, that's just a guess. That's just a shot in the dark.
I can't be 100% sure of this, but I would love his first match back to be against Rollins.
Or Jericho Rollins? Yeah, it could be interesting.
And then obviously, you'd have Ambrose coming towards the end and screw Rollins. But now that's something I'd like to see at Battleground actually. Jericho Rollins.
What about you, Skeletor? What do you think?
I kind of see either Rollins or Cesaro, because Jericho does like to work with the young dudes, and Cesaro is in a weird place right now where he kind of needs something to work with, and Rollins could just use a feud that's not Ambrose, because you probably want to save that till SummerSlam, maybe. Yeah. So, you could probably just plug him in with either of those two guys. I don't like. It'll probably be pretty good, but Bray Jericho just seems like a weird feud to me, in that Bray super doesn't need it.
The only reason I said Bray Jericho is because of the work they did on NXT.
Yeah. Paul, what's your thoughts?
I like what everyone else said. I mean, it's all going to depend on, whether he's coming back heel or face. If he comes back as a face, I'd love to see him and Cesaro. I think that'd be great. Get that Paul Heyman dynamic in there. And if he comes back as a heel, I mean, Dolph Ziggler would be fantastic. I know somebody said that.
Yeah, I've actually just.
But no matter what he does, he's going to put over whoever he's with. So someone's going to look great after being in the ring with him, as always.
I don't think they'll bring Jericho back as a heel purely because he's that popular, and also because the band.
Right, nobody really comes back as a heel except for Lesnar.
No, but what I mean is
Lesnar's not a face ever.
Right.
Yeah, but what I mean is Jericho will probably be kept as a face so he can promote his band and his album and everything. And
No. If Jericho comes back, he's always stated he likes to keep the two separate.
Good point.
So I would like to see him come back as a face. I think it'll work better because last time he came as the heel, and then he turned face towards the end, and it was a good month. But I want to see the Y2J, the Ayatollah of rock and roll. I don't want to see Chris Jericho's serious man in a suit. You know, like, he had cemented himself. Like you said, Chris, he's got a band now. People know. If they want to see Chris Jericho for what he really is, you let him play up to himself.
Yep.
Okay, so we've said this. We've all said the guys coming out of Money in the Bank need somewhere to go. Roman Reigns has been, you know, we've all heard the rumors, Roman Reigns, Triple H, and SummerSlam. How do you get into that match? Because obviously Roman Reigns will have to face someone at Battleground.
Reigns will step through Orton to get to Triple H, whereas Ambrose will step through Kane to get to Rollins. Which would make more sense because, you know, Kane was the one that screwed Ambrose. You go for him, then you go for Rollins. That kind of leaves two members of Evolution, really, which, yeah, Orton, and then... Yeah, that would make more sense to me.
Okay.
Yep, makes a ton of sense.
So, yeah. I don't really know what else I can add to that. Other than that, they need to make sure...
Makes a ton of sense, which means it won't happen.
He's got to look strong doing it.
Oh yeah, they need to make Reigns look absolutely unstoppable now. They need Super Reigns is what they need.
No, quiet you. No more supers.
He needs to take like 8 choke slams, a tombstone. Triple H needs to pedigree him 6 times. And sweet chin music out of nowhere, and then through a glass window pane, and then kick out at 2. Spear pin.
Only to carry Renee Young off with his feet up.
Yo, yeah, he has to carry around Renee Young on his arm like Miss Elizabeth.
Okay, so with all this in mind, Raw tonight is going to, you know, Raw is the first one after Money in the Bank. You've got to ask the obvious question: when do you see Rollins cashing in?
I don't.
No, just when? When do you see him cashing in?
I don't. I've already said. I reckon Ambrose will take the briefcase off Rollins.
Oh, okay.
If he does cash in, I think it's gonna be a while. I think it's going to be, if he does do it, it's gonna be one of those like I sat on it for 10 months things.
If you want to rephrase that question a little bit for me, so it's when do you think Ambrose will cash in? I think it will be around Mania time because that seems to be. Ziggler got the biggest reaction because it was the post-Mania Raw crowd, which is one of the best crowds of the year to do anything in front of.
Yeah, Rollins needs that build. He needs to continue to build, so he should probably just sit on it for a while, quite a while.
Yeah, Rollins needs a big feud, which is why I suggested Jericho. If Jericho comes back tonight.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question? When does Rollins cash in?
Yeah, when does Rollins cash in?
I'm almost thinking that he's going to end up losing the briefcase to Ambrose.
See, somebody else says it.
Yeah, cool. It just kind of makes sense. I mean, in the day and age of, again, going back to one title, I mean, he hasn't been built up enough, and if he does, it's going to be a cash and loss.
Yeah, whereas Ambrose has the fire going at the moment.
See, Rory agrees with you guys. He thinks that he's going to cash in, and then, Ambrose will get it and then cash in. I run this thought that maybe Rollins tries to cash in, and this feud gets so personal that when Rollins tries to cash in, Ambrose stops him. That makes
repeatedly.
Oh yeah, that should happen repeatedly, which should lead to their match at SummerSlam, which should lead to the contract versus contract.
I don't mean he should try and cash in. I mean Rollins should be set, the bell should ring, and then Ambrose come and attack him.
That's a waste of a Money in the Bank briefcase.
100%. That's a complete waste because you could that briefcase can set the landscape. It's already personal.
Do you not think it needs to go up that extra level though?
No.
Where does it go from this point, other than Ambrose saying, "You stabbed me in the back"?
I think Ambrose really needs to screw Rollins over, and what I mean by that is every match that Rollins has. And until the point that Rollins is so annoyed that he turns around and says, fine, I'll give you a match. If you win, you get my briefcase, but if I win, you leave.
I think that's interesting, but it runs that issue that no one's going to believe they're going to get rid of him that quick. So they're going to know that he's going to win.
No, you can even have him lose and you bring him back under a mask.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, they used to do it. They used to do it down south all the time in the 80s.
Well, they should have done that with Tyson Kidd and then brought him back under a mask. But hey.
That would have been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not happening though.
They could do that still. If they
for everybody that said that Ambrose will end up taking the briefcase, do you see Ambrose cashing in? Like, I mean, do you guys envision him as being, the guy of the company in Ambrose?
Cash in loss.
Ambrose is one of these guys that, to me, seeing the energy he has in the ring, he could be the next Punk. But so could Ziggler, which is where my issue comes in with this.
I don't like this idea of Ziggler being the top guy. I like the idea of him being one of the top guys, like the Jericho level. But I think he's so good at being the underdog ready to go. And the crowd love it because they're so behind him. They don't need to push him any further. He could stay there. But if they do push him further, Kofi needs to be ready to take that spot.
Oh yeah, that's it. This is the discussion you had on Twitter, and we had it earlier as well.
Yeah.
To me, Ziggler's a guy that is on the level of Punk now in popularity and everything else. I mean, listen to the pops the guy gets now. He's a guy that I think is ready for the main event and should be pushed as one of the guys. I think it's now at a point where Cena should perhaps step aside a little bit, and it should be Reigns right at the top, and Ambrose maybe second. Ziggler second, sorry. Ambrose third. And, that's how, to me, it should be now, because Ziggler has it in him, and he's proven it with his title run when he got that massive reaction when he cashed in.
Okay, here's a question, Matt. We'll make this the last question. Obviously, WWE at the minute is ready to push new guys, but do you think there is enough main event talent at the moment primed and ready to help put these guys over? Because to me, John Cena is the pinnacle of the tower. He needs to be the one that is beaten to show the next main guy. Who other than him do you see ready to boost talent into the main event?
Brian needs to. We need as much as it pains me to say, we need part-timers like The Rock and Brock for it as well, because they don't have enough full-time main eventers to do it. If Punk comes back, Punk could do it. Cena could do it. Rock and Brock could do it. Other than that, there's not really anyone who can.
I'd like to say Kane, but at this point, no one believes Kane. I think that's a sad situation to be in.
Yeah, that's a really bad situation to be in.
Well, it's because they have him lose all the time. He never gets his win back victories over mid carders. He just loses to main eventers, and then doesn't wrestle, and then loses to main eventers.
That's just that WWE shot themselves in their big red foot. I think if they really wanted to up the ante, they needed to make Kane look unbeatable and unstoppable again. Then whoever beat Kane would have, at least looked marginally good.
But to me, that's what they've done with Lesnar now in that sense.
Well, it's like Cena beat Kane 86 times, 2 years ago, and then he did it again 2 weeks ago, and it's this thing where he just looks like he loses so often to main event guys, and they don't let him wrestle the mid-carders and beat him, so he just doesn't win. He just doesn't win.
Didn't Reigns beat him on SmackDown?
Yes.
Shit, I have a count-out victory against Kane from 06 on SmackDown, so...
It's basically how that is. If they want him, they need to kind of lower him to mid-card dudes and let him just kill all of them and then bring him back up. Because it doesn't work when every time he wrestles, he's taking on a guy he can't beat.
Holy, right, okay, I've got to say, sorry, one of our listeners just now has just sent me a poster for Levels of Wrestling. I'm not gonna lie, this thing looks kind of sweet. I'll post it on Twitter for you guys to see.
Let's say retweet it, man.
Yeah, I'll put it on Twitter. That's absolutely awesome. But you know, Kane is one of those guys that should have been pushed towards the end of his career. I think this year's going to be his last year, personally. I don't think it should be, but
This
He
year
is
or next year?
47 years old or something.
yeah. But I mean, there's so much left he could do with a lot of guys. Like really, if they decide to give Big E some personality, he could work with him. Harper, he could work with him on a one-to-one. He could be teaching guys backstage on how to work with characters. So hopefully they're going to use him in some kind of nice benefit.
Okay. Kane can stick around as long as he wants to because everybody loves working with him because everyone says how safe he is and how good he is to work with. So, I mean, you know, he's always going to have a job up until he's, you know, in his 50s. He's in the best shape, you know, of his life. He looks great.
Yeah, he does look better than he has since like 2004.
Yeah, he looks great.
I've just heard another spoiler for tonight. Somebody else who's coming back.
Keep it quiet. I don't want to know this.
Yeah, I've heard enough of these. I want to be surprised by at least one of them.
Is it Arn Anderson?
Yeah, Arn Anderson came back from his neck injury.
Yes.
And is going to take Daniel Bryan's place due to Daniel Bryan's neck injury.
Let's just say there's going to be a lot of chants.
I freaking loved Arn Anderson's like one of my favorites of all time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. He needs, bring him and Tully come back and take on the Usos.
License to print money.
What?
I guess that rumor was false.
Okay.
Dude, that Ric Flair Undertaker WrestleMania match from like 01-02, where Arn Anderson hadn't wrestled a match in like 6 years.
Oh, the spine buster?
Yeah, he hits like the best spine buster I have ever seen in my life. Like 6 years after retirement.
Yeah, there was 4 years of pent-up rage. And he just fucking killed Taker.
I believed, like, Ric Flair had that pinfall.
Okay, guys, well, we're going to call it a night there just now, but a big thank you to all you guys for coming in and actually, you know, joining in with the show this week. We're going to have a follow-up next week. I think later on this week we'll have a Raw Fallout, so we'll be able to talk about all these returns and all these spoilers that we're hearing about tonight. So maybe later on in the week, probably Thursday night, we're going to do a bit more about this. We'll maybe do it before NXT so everyone knows what's coming.
Okay.
And, same time again next Monday, we're going to talk a bit more about what's going to happen on Raw and how ready we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a big thank you to all you guys for coming. Make sure, if you're listening to this, you go and follow everyone on here on Twitter. What we're going to do is I will give everyone a big shout out, and you can go check them out, follow them, and if needs be, and you feel the need, go check out WrestleZone that Matthew works for as well.
Yeah, buddy.
So this has been the first ever episode of Lowdown. Thank you guys so much, and go and enjoy Raw, and we'll be live tweeting all night. So again, thank you guys, and we'll speak to you later.
Yep.
See ya.